Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have another 2-for-1 special. I have two fairly quick matches that I had a while back, and I'm just going to put them into one video and showcase them today. So today our first match is against Maria. See, Maria has a fairly not so overused team, but a fun team. You have an Empoleon. I hardly see that these days. You know, the usual Hax Guard, Togekiss, Snorlax. I haven't seen Snorlax in a while either. Magnezone and a Roserade. And this team that I'm using here is a fun team. It's not the typical offensive Garchomp, it's bulky Chomp, bulky Scizor. The Tropius is my physical attacker with Dragon Dance, Unaware Clefable, Choice Specs Rotom, and my Choice Scarf Camerupt. And yes, you heard right, Choice Scarfed Camerupt. It's just something I wanted to try. So my opponent here is taking their sweet time to get ready, and in the meantime, always remember, if you want to join in on the action, you can just simply head online and use the code 20222021 and you will join the big battle room, and there's usually a lot of people in there, so anytime you need some action, just head on in. So as our battle starts here now, our opponent Maria leads with Togekiss, as I lead with the Choice Scarfed Camerupt. For me, this thing is just more of a, if I get something done with it, I'll be happy. So you'll see I'll be playing this thing a little bit more aggressive than usual. So I'm just gonna go straight for the Eruption just to get a good hit off on this thing. I'm hoping this thing has a bulky Togekiss, and as you see, he goes to the Air Slash and he does a decent chunk of damage. I just wanted to get this thing down a bit, and judging from the damage, I can tell that this is not the typical bulky Togekiss. Well, the not so typical. It seems to be the typical offensive Togekiss with just leftovers. So I'm gonna switch here now, and I'm gonna bring in my Rotom. At least this way I cannot be Thunder Waved, and I resist the Air Slash. But as you see, our opponent withdraws and goes into Gliscor. So my Rotom here is not the bulky Rotom, it's obviously Specs Rotom, and I'm just gonna swing a Hydro Pump, and my opponent stays in and takes a Hydro Pump to the face. He was probably, you know, thinking he had enough speed investment to probably speed creep a bulky Rotom, but I guess that was a bad call on his end. So in comes his Empoleon, and I'm Spec, so I can't do anything to this thing, so I'm just gonna go straight back into the Camerupt, which is more of a, like, in a sense, it wouldn't be a sack play because we wouldn't expect a water move coming from that thing anyway. So I go into my Camerupt and he goes for the Swagger, probably expecting the Garchomp to come in to counter him, but I go with the Camerupt instead. So here I'm a double back out into my Rotom, and let's see what his response will be. So Rotom comes out, and Maria responds with her Togekiss. But fortunately for me now, she has already lost her electric immunity, so I can just sit here and spam Thunderbolts without a care in the world. So I'm gonna just go for a Specs Thunderbolt and just get this thing out of the way, and that's a huge annoyance down, because trust me, you don't want to get caught behind a Togekiss that has you paralyzed and is flinging Air Slashes. So in comes his Rotom, his Roserade, sorry, my bad. In comes the Roserade, and I'm just gonna I'm just gonna switch right back out and bring back in my Camerupt again. So in comes my Camerupt, and he goes for the Flash. At this point I'm starting to feel like, okay, maybe this person is like someone who's somewhat new to battling and they don't have a lot of the competitive movesets down, but they're still trying a thing, and I respect that a lot. So She withdraws, brings in a Magnezone here, which is a bad choice for her. She should have went Snorlax, because I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to go Overheat. So we go Overheat, bring this thing down to its sturdy. Came her up, getting some work done. And I'm just going to go fling another one. Probably didn't expect me to outspeed, but that's Choice Scarf came her up for you. Then again, Magnezone is probably not even Scarfed himself, because Scarf Magnezone definitely has more speed than Camerupt does. So now in comes Snorlax, and as everybody knows, these things can be very, very destructive, especially Belly Drum or even Curse. But I think it's at this point my opponent forfeits, and we can say good game to Maria. Even though she doesn't have maybe some of the best movesets, she's trying, and I respect that. So good game. So on to our next match. We have a fairly nice looking team. I like to see, I got wrecked by a Pikachu one time, so I don't sleep on that thing. But everybody knows this team that I'm using. I've used this team a lot with this Choice Specs Porygon Z, and my opponent's team is looking very nice as well, and we'll just jump straight into the action again. So my opponent leads off with his Fortress as I go with Dragonite. This is my favorite Dragonite set, to be honest. I prefer running a mixed Dragonite set. So straight off the bat, I'm gonna go for the Flamethrower, and unfortunately for my opponent, he does not have Sturdy, and I felt that one for him. Sometimes I feel like, I understand how a lot of the new players feel when battling against people who got, Pokemon with their special moves because they were genned and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I feel like in these times it's very easy to get help from people in the Pokemon community. The Pokemon community is very tight-knit, and even though you might not have a lot of people that play, you can easily jump in a Discord and you can get help. You can get Pokemon genned, or if you can't get them genned, you can get someone to help you with some rejects so you can get those hidden abilities and those special moves. A little bit time consuming, definitely not for me though, because I have work and all that stuff, but you know how it goes. At least you can get things done. So yes, Dragonite dispatched the Fortress and the Pikachu, and in came the Staraptor to try and take us out with a quick attack. But I wasn't expecting quick attack, honestly. I was expecting, probably a Brave Bird. So I just swapped into my Granbull to get off the Intimidate, and he actually went for the quick attack. So now after getting off the Intimidate, I'm gonna switch to the my Lantern, and here now my opponent goes for his Brave Bird. Luckily I resist, and that is a lot of damage to say I resist and it's at -1. So that is a lot of damage. That just goes to show you the strength of Staraptor. So I know my opponent here is going to switch. Probably I'm expecting him to bring in his Gliscor, fearing the obvious Volt Switch. So I just go straight for the Ice Beam, and my prediction is correct, and in comes the Gliscor, and that eats an Ice Beam, and that is down for the count. So that's another threat or annoyance out of the way. So we munch on a little bit of leftovers, nom nom nom, creep up with that HP, and in comes our opponent's Alakazam. At this point I know this thing probably cannot kill me unless it has Energy Ball. I don't know how hard that hits, or if it even gets an Energy Ball. I can't remember, and I am not going to check at the current moment. But yes, I had faith that it could not kill me with one hit, so I stayed in and I went for the Volt Switch, and now I'll be able to bring in someone who can easily revenge this thing with some priority. So in comes my Dragonite, and I'm just gonna go for the extreme speed and take this thing out. So here we go, extremely speeding faster than Alakazam's eyes can see, and we take that thing out, and that's another one for our opponent down. Our opponent now brings back in his Staraptor, and we're going to do the same thing again. Bring in my Granbull, get off the Intimidate, and then go from there. So out comes my Granbull, making faces at my opponent's Staraptor as he makes the same play again, going for the quick attack. So we munch on a bit of our leftovers here, nom nom, and we're just gonna go for the play rough. Just gonna get some damage off on this thing. So my opponent goes for the Brave Bird. We take a hefty Brave Bird to the face, and that had to be a critical hit, because at the time I was like, damn, but then it was a crit, so I was like, oh, could only be. And we managed to take this thing out with a play rough. So down goes the Staraptor, and that leaves, I think it's just Charizard. Yes, and that just leaves our opponent's Charizard, and we literally have nothing to fear from this thing, so we'll just stay in and die and just bring someone else in and take this thing out. So down goes our Granbull. I must definitely say I definitely am liking Granbull now that it's gotten the fairy typing. It could use maybe a bump in the HP. I'd like to see it have a little bit more HP, but I'll take what I get. So I know this thing cannot take us out, so I'ma just let it hit me and take it out with a Hyper Beam. Go Porygon! Dismantle. Particle Beam. So yes, down goes the Charizard, and another good game down for the books. Good game to my opponent once again. I remember, people, like, subscribe, join in for the fun.